Rejection feels like a threat, not logically, but physically. Your chest tightens, your mind races, your body hesitates, as if a simple no could damage your life. But in the modern world, most rejection is basically weightless. It doesn't cost you status in a tribe. It doesn't follow you for years. It doesn't reduce your next opportunity. It's often forgotten 5 minutes later. So why does it still feel like danger? Because your brain is running an old operating system. It evolved in an environment where rejection was not an awkward moment. It was a social event with consequences, and your nervous system hasn't fully updated. In this video, you're going to understand why your fear response is out of date, why modern dating amplifies that mismatch, and why confidence is not the fix. The fix is a new model of reality. Once you have that model, rejection stops feeling like a verdict. It becomes what it actually is, a low-cost data point in a high-opportunity world. Let's start with the world your brain was built for. For most of human history, people lived in small groups, not thousands, not millions. Small, stable social networks where you saw the same faces over and over. This matters because in a small group, everything is connected. Your reputation spreads quickly. Your social standing affects your safety. Your relationships affect your access to resources. You cannot simply disappear after a mistake. You live with the consequences. Researchers in the social brain and network space have discussed the practical limits of stable social relationships. And while the exact number is debated, the underlying idea is consistent. Human social life evolved around relatively small networks. So in that environment, mating was not private. If you made a move and got rejected, other people found out. If you made a move and got laughed at, it stuck. If you misread the situation, you could trigger conflict. In those conditions, fear is rational. Fear is protective. Fear stops you from making costly social errors. That is why your nervous system still flares up when you consider approaching someone. It is not because you are broken. It is because the system is doing what it was designed to do: avoid social punishment. Now look at your real environment. You live in a world where you can walk into a cafe, talk to someone, get rejected, and then never see them again. You can make a mistake and be forgotten. You can try again tomorrow in a different part of the city. Modern life is full of what your ancestors did not have: anonymity, mobility, abundance of strangers. And those features change the cost structure of mating completely. This is the core of evolutionary mismatch. Evolutionary psychology has pushed the idea that our minds are adapted to ancestral conditions, not modern ones. And when environments change faster than biology can, we get misalignment. It's the same reason people crave sugar, fear public speaking, and overreact to social judgment online. The brain is using ancient heuristics in a new landscape. So what does mismatch mean for dating? It means your emotional system still prices rejection like it is expensive. But in most modern situations, rejection is cheap. And when you overprice rejection, you behave in ways that create the very scarcity you fear. You avoid, you hesitate, you settle, you stay passive, hoping attraction finds you without risk. And that turns a world of abundance into a world of constraints. Not because the world is hostile, because your behavior is outdated. Now, let's make this even clearer. In modern cities, the pool is enormous. A single borough can contain more potential partners than an ancestral human would meet in an entire lifetime. And modern technology magnifies this. People meet through the internet, through apps, through social media, through algorithmic exposure. Large-scale sociological research has documented the internet becoming a major intermediary in mate search. Even if you never use apps, their existence changes behavior. It changes expectations. It changes how people assess options. It increases perceived choice. And when perceived choice rises, selectivity rises. This is one reason modern dating feels harsher. Not because people are worse, because the environment creates different incentives. But here is the key. Even if selectivity rises, the cost of your attempts still falls. You have more doors to knock on than ever before, and most doors closing do not damage your ability to knock on the next one. So the rational response to modern dating is not to retreat. It is to increase exposure. Now, a lot of men resist that because rejection still feels like a judgment of worth. But that interpretation is not reality. It is an ancient mental shortcut. In the ancestral world, repeated rejection could imply a real social problem. It could mean you were low status, unhealthy, disliked, or risky. So rejection served as a strong social signal. But in modern life, rejection can mean almost anything. She is busy. She is taken. She is not in the mood. She is cautious. She had a bad day. She is not attracted, but not because you are worthless, because preference is complex. Even researchers studying mate preferences find that attraction is context-dependent and noisy. That is why no is not a verdict. It is one data point, and treating it as a verdict is a miscalibration. Now this brings us to a problem that modern culture accidentally makes worse. People talk about confidence as if it is a fixed trait, like you either have it or you do not. So men think, I'm not confident enough yet, I need to become confident, then I'll act. That is backwards. Confidence is often a consequence of repeated exposure, not a prerequisite. It is the byproduct of learning that you survive. When you experience rejection and discover nothing bad happens, your system recalibrates, your fear response drops, your self-image adjusts, your willingness increases. This is basic conditioning logic. Fear reduces through safe exposure. Avoidance maintains fear. This is not motivational talk, it is behavioral science. Now think about how modern environments create a trap. Because rejection is cheap, people can afford to be more casual, more dismissive, more short-term. On apps, a swipe left is nothing. On social media, ignoring someone is effortless. That can make rejection feel colder, less human. And because your brain interprets social rejection as danger, modern communication can amplify the feeling even when the actual cost is zero. So modern environments do something strange. They reduce the real cost of rejection, but they can increase the emotional sting of it. That's a perfect recipe for anxiety. Your brain screams danger, but the world offers endless chances. So you freeze. This is why the right model matters. If your model is romance, rejection feels like personal failure. If your model is probability, rejection feels normal. Now here is a principle that will level you up immediately. In a low-cost environment, the correct strategy is sampling, not perfection, not waiting for the perfect moment, not hunting for a perfect opener. Sampling, trying, collecting data, moving forward. This is not about being reckless. It's about aligning your behavior with reality. Because your brain is acting like you live in a small tribe, but you live in a huge city. Now you might think, okay, but what about social consequences today? What about being seen as creepy? That's a valid concern, and this is where calibration matters. Rejection is cheap, but social awareness still matters. Approaching respectfully, being brief, reading cues, and giving easy exits keeps you on the right side of social norms. Your goal is not to force anything. Your goal is to create a chance for mutual interest. And if it is not there, you leave cleanly. That is not creepy. That is socially competent. Now, another part of mismatch. Your brain evolved to learn from local feedback. In a tribe, local feedback is accurate because the pool is stable. If women in your tribe reject you consistently, you probably do have a local problem. But in modern life, your feedback is scattered. Different neighborhoods, different communities, different age groups, different cultures, different contexts. So your local sample is not reliable. You might get rejected 3 times in a row and then interpret that as, I'm not attractive. But statistically, in a large pool, streaks are normal. Even coin flips produce streaks. You're reading meaning into noise. And your nervous system is designed to read meaning into it because in the ancestral world, it was not noise. It was costly information. This is the mismatch again. Your ancient brain wants to turn scattered data into identity. Modern life makes that identity unreliable. So the upgrade is to stop turning outcomes into identity. Stop thinking, I got rejected, so I am X. Start thinking, I got rejected, so this attempt did not convert. Then you run another attempt. Now let's bring in another layer that makes modern rejection even cheaper. Your opportunities are not limited to one channel. In ancestral life, your social environment was your entire world. Now there are many channels: work, gym, events, friends of friends, online, public spaces, communities, hobbies, and the internet massively expands weak ties. Network researchers have shown that weak ties are powerful for opportunities because they connect you to new clusters. Dating works similarly. Your best opportunities often come from new clusters, not the same closed circle. So if one cluster is cold, you move. That mobility is the modern advantage, and your nervous system has not fully absorbed it. It still acts like you only have one cluster, like you only have one shot. So it panics. Now something else happens in modern environments. Because there are so many options, people can afford to be choosier, and that can make men feel like they are constantly being judged. But being judged is not new. Selection has always been part of mating. The difference is scale. Modern life makes selection more visible and more constant. Apps quantify it. Likes, matches, views. This can trick your brain into feeling like you are being evaluated by the entire world. But you are not. You are being evaluated by individuals with specific preferences, in specific contexts, with specific constraints. Selection is personal, not universal. And when you accept that, rejection stops being a referendum on your worth. It becomes a mismatch of fit. Now let's talk about the real cost. If rejection is cheap, what is expensive? Avoidance. Avoidance is expensive because it steals volume, it removes exposure, it prevents recalibration, it keeps your fear alive, and it quietly trains your brain to believe that action is dangerous. The more you avoid, the more your system treats avoidance as safety, and safety becomes addictive. But safe does not mean fulfilled. So the modern dating tragedy is this. Men live in a world where rejection is cheap, but they behave as if it is expensive. That creates a self-imposed cage. They wait for confidence. They wait for certainty. They wait to feel ready. But feeling ready is the reward of action, not the requirement. Now, the moment you align with the modern environment, your whole emotional experience changes. You can be rejected and still feel calm, because you know the cost is low. You know the pool is large. You know your future attempts are unaffected. You know you're sampling, so you move on. And when you move on quickly, something else happens. Your self-image stabilizes. You stop spiking from every interaction. Your mood becomes less dependent on outcomes. That is real confidence, not bravado, stability. The confidence that comes from knowing rejection does not define you. Now, one final twist. Modern environments also allow you to design your exposure. You can put yourself in contexts where you are naturally higher value, places that match your lifestyle, communities where your competence is visible, environments where you are socially integrated. That increases your probability per attempt. So the modern advantage is not just more attempts, it is smarter attempts. But you only get to use that advantage if you stop obeying an ancient fear response. So the thesis of this video is simple. Rejection barely exists anymore in the sense that it rarely carries real cost. But your brain hasn't noticed. And until it notices, you will keep acting like you are in a world that no longer exists. Here's the takeaway. Your nervous system treats rejection as danger because it evolved in small groups where social mistakes had consequences. That logic made sense then. But modern environments changed the cost structure. Huge pools, anonymity, mobility, multiple channels, low-lasting consequences. So in most situations, rejection is cheap. What is expensive is avoidance. Avoidance creates scarcity. Avoidance prevents recalibration. Avoidance keeps fear alive. So the upgrade is this: stop obeying the ancient alarm. Start behaving like someone living in the modern world. Treat dating like probability. Sample, collect data, Move on. Let exposure retrain your nervous system. And remember the line that should guide your behavior from now on. Rejection is cheap, avoidance is expensive.